globalization of ethical decision-making. Global culture, values, and practices. National culture is a much broader concept than organizational culture and includes everything in our surroundings made by people, both tangible items such as artifacts and intangible entities such as concepts and values. Individualism, collectivism, dimensions of culture refer to how self-oriented members of a culture are in their behavior. Power distance dimensions refers to the power inequality between superiors and subordinates. In business, the idea that we differ from them is called self-reference criterion. By defending the payment of bribes or greasing the wheels of business, and other questionable practices in this fashion, they are resorting to cultural relativism, the concept that morality varies from one culture to another and that right and wrong are defined differently. Despite various differences between values between countries, there are certain values broadly accepted worldwide. These global common values are shared across most cultures. A nation's culture consists of values that are subjective based on social and economic institutions and used to develop norms that are socially and legally enforced. Because institutions such as government and religion affect the development of norms, conventions, and other aspects of the culture, values can be specific to countries, regions, sects, or groups. Risk compartmentalization occurs when profit centers within corporations are unaware of the overall consequences of their actions on the firm as a whole. Socialism refers to economic theories advocating the creation of a society when wealth and power are shared and distributed evenly based on the amount of work expended in production. Social democracy allows private ownership of property and also features a large government equipped to offer such services as education and healthcare to its citizens. Bimodal wealth distribution occurs when the middle class shrinks, resulting in highly concentrated wealth among the rich and increased numbers of poor people with few resources. Rational economics is based on the assumption that people are predictable and will maximize the utility of their choices relative to their needs and wants. Behavioral economics assumes humans act irrationally because of genetics, emotions, learned behavior, and heuristics or rule of thumb. Economic and political events, as well as natural disasters, reflect and affect the environment for global ethic decision making. Multinational corporations are public companies that operate on a global scale without significant ties to any one nation or region. Business for Social Responsibility tracks emerging issues and trends, provides information on corporate leadership and best practices, conducts educational workshops and training, and assists organizations in developing practical business ethics tools. The International Monetary Fund originated from the Bretton Woods Agreement of July 1944 when a group of international leaders decided the primary responsibility for the regulations of monetary relationships among national economies should rest in the international body, or the IMF. The United Nations Global Compact is a set of 10 principles that promote human rights, sustainability, and the eradication of corruption. The World Trade Organization was established in 1995 at the Uruguay round of negotiations of the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade. Dumping is the practice of charging high prices for products in domestic markets while selling the same product in foreign markets at low prices, often at below cost. Global ethical risks include corruption, variations in international regulations, and supply chain issues. Corruption continues to be one of the most global and economic risks. For example, Executives at Brazilian state-controlled oil firm Petrobras accepted bribes from construction officials for many years. As a result, the company lost millions of dollars through the use of inflated contracts. Variations in international regulations can create problems for global companies as they must adjust their business strategies to comply with different laws. Supply chain issues involving human rights violations can be hard to detect in global supply chains, encompassing many different nations. Obama mandated that government contractors need to ensure their supply chains are free of forced labor. Bribery is a difficult topic because its acceptance and legal definition vary from country to country. The U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act prohibits American companies from making payments to foreign officials for the purpose of obtaining or retaining business. The UK's Bribery Act overlaps the FCPA and also takes further steps to curb bribery. Under the law, British residents and businesses, as well as foreign companies with operations in the United Kingdom, can be held liable for bribery no matter where the offense is committed or who the company commits the act, even if the bribe itself has no connection to the United Kingdom. In 1890, the United States passed the Sherman Antitrust Act to prevent anti-competitive behavior. A vertical system is created when a channel member, manufacturer, wholesaler, distributor, or retailer has control of the entire business system. This creates inertia, causing channel members to stay with their various retailers and distributors, even though competitors may have better products and prices. Today's computer hackers can use tools like internet and computer viruses to commit corporate espionage, launch cyber attacks against government infrastructures, and steal confidential information. Hacking, Trojan horses, devices that look desirable but steal information once installed, and worms are not necessarily illegal in some countries. While some internet privacy violations, such as breaking into users' accounts and stealing their financial information, are clearly unethical, many other situations present more challenging ethical issues. Another ethical dilemma regarding privacy is the use of personal information by companies. In countries such as Saudi Arabia and China, internet privacy is not just a corporate issue. Human rights. The meaning of the term human rights is codified in the UN document and is defined as an inherent dignity with equal and inalienable rights and the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. The concept of human rights in business was established decades ago, but few companies took into consideration until recently. Healthcare. Another ethical issue gaining in importance is healthcare. Globally, a billion people lack access to healthcare systems, and about 7.5 million children under the age of 5 die from malnutrition and preventable diseases each year. Global concern about the priorities of pharmaceutical companies is on the rise. This ethical dilemma involves profits versus healthcare. Global healthcare fraud is a serious ethics issue, costing businesses and government millions of depriving individuals of funds needed for critical care. Is healthcare a right or a privilege? This is a fundamental issue leading some businesses into ethical and legal trouble around the world. Labor and right to work. Certain employees' issues, once country specified, have become global. Many people live and work in a country other than their homeland. In some cases, workers can carry benefits across countries without any reductions or changes. In these cases, are these workers multinational employees first and then citizens of the country, or citizens of the country first and then an employee second? Gender pay equality is also a global labor issue. It has been found that in some countries, women earn 16% less than their male counterparts. This can lead to a world of ethical and legal troubles. Compensation. A living wage to the minimum wage workers require to meet basic needs. Many countries have passed minimum wage laws to provide employees with a living wage. Whether or not the minimum wage is sufficient to meet their needs is debatable. Consumerism. Consumerism is the belief that the interests of consumers rather than those of producers should dictate the economic structure of a society. One question being asked by more people in countries is, does consumerism lead to happiness? Ethical decision making is essential if a company is to operate successfully within a global business context. For companies looking to expand globally, the multitude of ethical issues to consider seems daunting, but it is not impossible. It is just a matter of being trained to understand and respect differences.